Hello, hello, and welcome to Bla Bla Black Sheep, a weekly yarny podcast where I, Sarah Korth of SEK Handmade, answer your yarny questions. I feel a little froggy today. Goodness. I spent almost a whole week in Denver helping to host the Crochet Business Summit, and it was wonderful. And I love doing that kind of stuff. I am a natural hostess and, surprise, talker. So I had such a good time helping Pam Grice of the Crochetpreneur host that event. But oh, my voice is tired. When I wasn't talking to everyone, I was talking to smaller groups of people. I had such a good time. It was a really great experience. And I met so many amazing people. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I would like to say that I would do a special podcast just about that, but I am so exhausted. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. I'll be honest. So, if you want to know anything about what that event was like, or my experience with it, or what I did there, let me know. I'd love to chat about it. Yeah. So, welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad to be back here myself. Today I'm going to wear my Zoe shawl. The conference was at a hotel. I feel like I have a little hair. Oh, I do, on the tip of my nose. It's a little Weston hair on the tip of my nose. I could feel it. Now it's gone. Yay. We were inside the hotel. 90% of the time I was there. And so I feel like spring sprung while I was in the hotel. I knew it was nicer in Denver, but like it just is nicer in Denver. And I thought I would be coming home to pretty cold weather, but it's gorgeous here. It is sunny outside. The grass is greening. There was still chunks of snow on the ground when I left. So I'm going to wear one of my lighter weight shawls today. I'm going to wear my Flossie shawl. This is sister shawl to, no, oh my gosh. Just like my children, I'm mixing up their names. This is the Zoe shawl, sister to Flossie, who I wore last week and just finally got published. So Zoe is the littlest sister, I like to think of her as, because she's small. She's short. She's really open fabric, so she scrunches up really easily and is so easy to wear. And since it's nice outside today, I'm gonna wear it loose. Did I just dunk that in my coffee? Maybe. Yep, a little bit. Whoops. Okay, we will carry on. I'm just going to wear it loosely around my neck. She has a really nice long wingspan, which makes it easy to wear as the weather warms up. And you don't need necessarily like the tightness up around your neck. So I'm gonna wear loosey-goosey, and just draped. Lovely. I talk a little bit more about Zoe and all the sister shawls in my introduction video to Flossie. So I'll link that below. This is my second sample of that one, of Zoe, because if you saw last week, yeah, I'm pretty sure I showed you. My original Zoe was way loud, which I love and brings me so much joy. But also sometimes I look at my wardrobe and I get dressed and the clothes are loud, and then adding a really loud shawl to it is just even a bit much for me, which I know is weird to say. Oh my gosh, fuzz everywhere. Sorry. So I made a second sample in some more neutral yarn I had. I like to call these a neutral. Some might say they're not, but it's a really gorgeous olivey green and a denim-y blue, and these are firm Loopy Luna fibers. who does not dye yarn anymore, which makes me sad because she always dyed really bold colors. I'm going to take a short tangent though. Can I say sometimes I think it's much harder to have bold than to be sweet and neutral and pastel-y. So, I mean, I feel that in my work, that sometimes I'm like, if I would just do everything neutral, it would be easier. But then I do something neutral and I'm like, meh. I always end up putting it with something bright anyways. So you got to do what you love and are passionate about. Um, so I loved her bold colors, but she's not dyeing anymore, which is fine. I don't really know why. So it could be for some totally other different reason. Okay. That was, sorry, that was kind of weird. Okay. What is bringing me joy? Being home is bringing me joy. Not to say that your partners are not amazing, but my husband's pretty amazing. I came home late-ish Saturday night. The kids were in bed. The house was clean. All the dishes were done. It was really lovely. So I applaud him for doing all the things because often he comes home from being away and the house is just a disaster. So kudos to Brian for being awesome. Still a little wet here from dunking this into my coffee. Um, Friends, I learned while I was away that I'm a pillow snob. I missed my pillow so much. I was in a room with two queen beds all by myself. 8 pillows. They were all exactly the same amount of firmness. I'm like, what's the point of having 8 pillows then? Because then they look pretty, but I don't sleep good. Anyways, so I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to be sleeping with my own pillow. I'm loving, you guys, I didn't do anything businessy while I was gone, which if you got my newsletter, you might have noticed. I didn't even do changing the first picture. I got that all ready to go. And I was like, I got to remember to change that first picture. And then my email went out and it comes to my inbox too. And I was like, oh, I don't think I did that. Nope, it sure didn't. So I got a lot to do, including I look out the window and think I need to like trim some of the bushes that I didn't trim, or like I don't cut down my like flowers and stuff because then little birdies come and eat the seeds throughout the winter. So, but it's gorgeous out, and I would love. I am. I am tired and I am in pain, and I hate it because I want nothing more than to go get all the things done. But my body wants nothing more than for me to just lay and rest. Um, so I forgot a medication to take with me. So it's like I think what the issue is that since I didn't take it the whole time I was gone, and it's like a long lasting one. So like it builds up in your system. Well, then I stopped taking it. So it slowly dipped down out of my system. And now that I'm home and taking it again, it's slowly coming back up. Friends, take your medication with you when you travel. It is miserable not to. So, anywho, I'm glad to be home. Small businesses, guys, I don't know how much this wonderful person sells these mugs. And I've become a little precious about this mug because I love it so much and I don't know that he sells anymore, really, or at least not a place that's easily accessible to purchase from. But I love this mug so much. Okay, first of all, you know I love those colors. It's like all speckly and then it's got this little splooch on the front of it. And it's just, I love it so much. It's a nice thick mug, so it keeps my coffee warm longer. Feels good and hefty in my hand. But this is by Walt Allen Ceramics. There's a story behind this. I won't tell you the whole story. You have to go back and find it in another episode when I shared this mug. But Walt used to work with my husband, and he retired and started doing pottery. And I love it. So I bought one of his mugs to support him. And because, I mean, it's amazing, right? So I'll clicky do a link below. You can go search out. I'm guessing because this is a retirement thing and not like a gotta get the, he's retired. So I hope what he's doing is just having fun. And so, he may be restocking kind of sporadically. So we'll see. Check it out. Um, for my earrings, I told you last year at some point that I probably purchased enough earrings to take us through this whole year. And I mean, it wasn't quite that bad. But this is a pair that I bought that I thought, ooh, these will be perfect for spring because I think I bought them in like November, which they were not perfect for November. But look at how pretty they are. They are wooden and then carved. I'm assuming laser engraved. But then they're painted. So they have pretty colors too. It's just so pretty and fun. Definitely springy. Oh, there we go. So beautiful, so lightweight. I love a bold, lightweight earring. These are by Honeyglow Designs. I wore another pair of her earrings back in January. They had like the pine branch kind of across them, and she offered a, what's it called? Prize. That's what it's called. A prize for our whip wrap up in January. And I've chit chatted with her a little bit. She's lovely. Highly recommend her stuff. Look at me doing my homework. I looked up her shop this morning and she's got tons of earrings. And I was like, no, Sarah. Again, my body working against me. I like want to keep moving and my body's like, no, just like scroll the earrings for 10 minutes, Sarah. It's fine. So she has pages and pages of earrings and lots of fun, cute things. So go check her out. Announcements. The spring shawl along is rolling. Oh, dang it. I was going to bring my shawl because I actually worked on it. I wonder where I have that. Blurg. I think it's sitting in the living room, and if I run in there, then Weston will be all up in arms. I'll take a picture and I'll put it here. I actually made progress on my shawl, not to make this all about me, but I'm really proud because last spring shawl along, I told the story last week about how I made the sample. I was only like meh about the sample. And so I got yarn I really loved to make a new sample, and I was gonna make it last spring shawl along, and I got like 4 rows done. It's a rectangle shawl that's worked lengthwise and then up, and dang, those rows are long. But I had set it aside and never gotten back to it, and I'm like this long now. I'm so excited. And I'm back in the groove of how the pattern works. You know how that goes? Like the first few rows you have to figure out. I'm a very visual person. I want to see what it looks like. So even though this was my pattern, last year it had been like more than a year since I had actually designed the pattern. And so I had to get in the groove then. And then I set it aside for a whole entire year, so I had to get back in the groove. But now I've got kind of the visual of how it all fits together, and so I feel more confident to just kind of go, go, go. So I really need to just finish, finish, finish. So that I don't put it down and then start that whole process all over again. So spring shawl along is going on. You can join us on Discord, the Facebook group, or an Instagram chat. Let me know if you'd like to join us in any of those places. It's not too late to join. We have prizes. Miss Babs Yarn, who that's the yarn I used for my Flossie shawl. They have offered a $50 gift certificate to buy yarn through them, so that'll be a prize. And then Veronica from Blue Star Crochet is offering a course to expand your crochet skills. Veronica is thorough and lovely and organized, and I appreciate those traits so much. Excuse me. And then Cobb's Cook Stitches makes shawl cuffs, and she is offering a shawl cuff up for prizes. And then, friends, I have stuff I need to go through. Definitely a big tote bag, and a couple other things. I think I have some scissors, some tape measures, but I will offer up a prize as well. So, local yarn shop day is coming up. It's at the end of the month. I was like August, no, April 27th, I believe is the day. I have designed a scarf pattern, like an open springy scarf pattern, that will be offered free through local yarn shops only on local yarn shop day. So if you have a local yarn shop and you would like my pattern to be free at your local yarn shop, let me know who your local yarn shop is. I will reach out to them. I can't make any guarantees that they'll reach back. I've had a bit of a mixed bag with that. So, so if you really want it, both leave me their information and then tell them I'm coming. I'm coming. I have a free pattern for them. It can't be that scary, right? Speaking of local yarn shops, I should have said this back when I was talking about the Crochet Business Summit. But I flew out. So the conference ended late, not late, it ended Friday evening. But I live by a small airport. The closest large airport is down in Milwaukee, which is like an hour and a half drive, which isn't terrible, but also is not preferable, especially when like my husband left the kids sleeping to come get me at the airport. So it's nice when he can just like bebop over. I can be like, I've landed and have my luggage, and he's like, on my way. That's much nicer than having to plan a big trip, or for me to have to drive home after I've been traveling all day. So at our small airport, a lot of times, like a plane comes from Appleton to the destination. They like do a turnaround and then come back. So you've got like a flight to go to the place and a flight to come home, and like those are your choices. You know, different airlines can do different times, but there's not a wide variety of choices for travel. So it ended on Friday evening, but I didn't fly out until Saturday evening because that's when the plane came back. So I made lots of friends, but myself and one other lady were both leaving at that time. Actually, there was a third one, and I feel bad because we didn't know she wasn't leaving, and she could have come with us. Anyways, so myself and Beth Elliott, I think her business is called Betty McKnits, but she's a crochet designer. So she and I spent the day together. We like took it slow in the morning and met at 10 o'clock in the lobby, and then we went to a local yarn shop and had lunch and came back and then shuttled to the airport together. But I want to share with you about the local yarn shop and what I got there. So it's Piney Creek. We talked to Glenda, the owner, who was very sweet, and they are in Centennial, Colorado. And I'll put their logo up here. Great little yarn shop. I mean, I say little. It was good sized. And one of the things I really loved about it was not only was it good sized, but it had good space for gathering. So it wasn't just like yarn upon yarn upon yarn upon yarn. They had lots of variety, but there was also like a couch space and a teaching space. And so there was like lots of spaces to just be in the space and not feel like it was like, get your yarn and get out. So highly recommend visiting that yarn shop if you are in the area. Let me show you what I got. So when I travel, if I can make it to a local yarn shop, I love to make it to a local yarn shop just to check them out. But when I'm at the local yarn shop, I love to get a souvenir. I love souvenir yarn because then it reminds it, A, I love working with pretty yarn, and B, then every time I wear that item, it reminds me of the trip that I got the yarn on. I don't think I have any. I don't have any souvenir uh, things, patterns, finished projects behind me. But my poppy shawl that I showed you last week was a souvenir. I had bought 3 skeins of yarn from a dyer when I was visiting with friends 2 summers ago. And so now when I put on my poppy shawl, I not only think of the joy I had of crocheting it and designing it, but I also think back to the awesome time I had with my friends when we went yarn shopping that day. So I wanted a little souvenir skein, and it is my preference, though these things aren't always available. It is my preference, if I can, to get a skein from a local dyer at a local yarn shop, if that makes sense. So we asked if they had any local dyers available for sale in the yarn shop, and they had one, and it is called Euphoria Knits. There's the tag. And then this is the yarn I got. I got 1 skein of fingering weight yarn. I would have bought 2 of these if there were 2, but there weren't 2. There was just 1. And so I'm going to keep spinning it back here because maybe the colors are a little more, I don't know. And so this is fingering weight. I really wanted, I think I told you last week about, or maybe a couple weeks ago, about my issue of only having fingering weight shawls. And I don't want that to be the case, so I was like, oh, I'll buy some DK weight, because they had their yarn in fingering and DK. But there was just nothing in the DK colors that I was really excited about, and I really want to be really excited about it. So not only do I love these colors, ironically, the colors that match my shawl here, but the pops of bright green and dark, deep browns and rusty colors and beautiful blues. But all those colors kind of remind me of the mountains. So this is a very precious skein of yarn. Do I have a plan for it? I think I might. What? Crazy talk. Okay, so then I was like, well, that's gorgeousness. Let's see if there's anything. The other thing that I like to look for is like, is there a cool new tool or accessory or something that I probably can't get someplace else? My rule always is, if I could buy this at my local yarn shop, I don't get it at a faraway yarn shop, because I'll just buy it. Like, I love and want to support my local yarn shop, so I'll buy that there, and I'm going to spend my money on something I can't get at my local yarn shop. So I found 2 things that I thought were lots of fun, and actually now that I haven't taken them out of their packages, I'm like, I should probably take them out of their packages. So the first thing I got was a pin. I really need, oh, come on now, little pin. Don't be like this. I really need, actually, I have a bag. I really need to pin my pins on my bag. I have a bag that has a pocket on the front of it, because I'm always nervous about A, stabbing myself, and B, snagging a project with pins. But it has a pocket on the outside, so I can like pin them to the bag without having anything on the inside of the bag. So I got this pin, and it is like just a little crochet project with a crochet hook, and it's blue, and you know I love blue. So that was fun. She did not have who the pins were by, so I don't know if she was designing the pins and was designing and selling the pins, or if it's a pin maker. If you recognize that pin maker, please let me know, because I would absolutely love to give them credit. This is not from, so then I also got a shawl pin, which is, you know, not a pin. It's a shawl pin. And this is from, oh, I love this. My mom had a shawl pin, and this part of it was so loose it wouldn't stay put, but this is nice and springy. This I feel like is going to stay put. So this is a shawl pin, and I love birds, and so it's got a little bird sitting on a branch, so you can pin it on your shawl to hold your shawl in place, or just as decoration. But this is by Haya Haya, which is a it's a needle company. I don't know if they make crochet hooks, but I know they make knitting needles. So that was so much fun. Okay, have I talked too much? Maybe. So appreciate, visit, and support your local yarn shops. I guess that's the point of that. And I had a good time. We also ate lunch at a local diner then, and it was delicious. Very delicious. Alrighty, so let's do some questions. I want to encourage you. I'm going to take a pause real quick. I'll be quick. I want to encourage you to A, ask a question. The link is in the show notes. It's super fast. All questions are welcome. B, like this video, subscribe. C, sign up for my newsletter. I don't ever tell people that here. I send out a newsletter once a week. Sometimes there's a big giant mistake in it, like forgetting to change a picture when I'm traveling. I try very hard to make them helpful and useful. And my email subscribers always get the very best discounts on things. So I would love it if you would like, subscribe, join my newsletter. You would be, it just makes me so happy. So thank you. And if you've already done all those things, you're the best. You are the best. Okay, question number 1. Why do some patterns have 2 gauges listed? It's hard enough to meet one. Don't make me do 2. I love that so much, right? Gauge is so frustrating, and then you open up a pattern and it's like multiple gauges. What the heck? Okay. The thing is, guys, it's for you. It's for you. It's to be helpful. It's not punishment. So if you have a pattern that has very different gauges, so I find this sometimes with like hat patterns. Let's say it's got the hat, and then it's got a brim, and the gauge is very different between those two. Sometimes my patterns will list the gauge for the body of the hat and then the gauge for the brim of the hat. And that's just to help you know about what size each of those stitches are supposed to be. I could see it in a garment. Let's say you have like a panel. Okay, so I've worked, and let's just say, because I've done this before, let's just say I was working like a cardigan sort of situation. And the back of the cardigan was like a fun, lacy, zhuzhy design. And the front of the cardigan was just a plain, simple stitch. So it was like plain cardigan, pow! The back is fancy. A lot of times your stitches on the simple and the pow are going to be different. But you need your cardigan to all be the same size, right? You can't have your front panels be this long and your back panel be this long. Now, some of that can be, fixed up with blocking, but the designer might say, here's a gauge for the lacy panel, here's a gauge for the symbol panels, and you need to make gauge on both of those, because then your front of your cardigan and your back of your cardigan will be the same. That makes sense? So I guess the good news is meeting both of those gauges should help your finished item fit together. So whether it's a blanket, because if it's like a blanket, you might be thinking like, it's just a blanket, it's fine. But if you end up, let's say it's a bunch of squares and you're seaming the squares together, if you end up with one square that's like boop, boop, and you end up with one square that's like beep, beep, that's a problem. And even if it's not that dramatic, it can still be a problem when you go to put it all together, that it's, you're like really aggressively blocking something, and then even though you aggressively blocked it, like it was a bit too much, so the yarn bounced back some, and then you've got like, it's not like a blanket, it's like a blanket. So, which you might not care about in a blanket, but you probably would care about in a sweater. So that's why there are two. Again, how closely you meet them, I'll link my gauge videos down below, but how closely you meet those gauges, you can do some adjusting. So let's keep it simple. Let's say it was a cardigan and you got your stitch gauge but not your row gauge. You might make your back panel first, because that the textured panel is going to be harder to adjust than, let's say, the front of the cardigan is just all, half double crochets or something. Then, so you get your harder to adjust panel to fit you correctly. And then you can make some adjustments. Like, say your stitches were good, but your row gauge was off. You can just either add or take away a few rows to make that fit better. So, the rules still apply. The more fit is important, the more gauge is important. If you can't get it, there's some adjusting you can do to help with that. So that's why there are two gauges. We're trying to be helpful, not mean. Good luck. It's worth it. And I mean, you can always, nobody's forcing you to gauge swatch at all, but you're taking a risk. So there you go. All right. Question number 2. I'm making your Bla beach bag, and I love the idea of putting something in the middle of the strap. Can you create your own cord with multiple strands of yarn, or perhaps plying it? Just thinking for those of us who make everything I'm sorry. Just thinking of those of us who have everything in their stash except for cord and simply refuse to wait until the store opens. Okay, so my Bla Beach bag is a bag that I made in conjunction with Hobbii. It's for sale on my website. It's for sale on their website. No, lies. It's not for sale on my website. I don't sell anything on my website. I sell on Ravelry and Etsy, but it's available in both of those places, I believe. So here's my issue with crocheted bags. So you make a bag, right? You're like, yay, my bag. And because of yarn and crochet characteristics, you've got your bag, and your bag is like a bag, and then your bag is like a bag, and then your bag is like a bag. And pretty soon it's like the handles have stretched so much, it's like hanging down at your feet practically. So when I designed this bag, I was like, what am I going to do to avoid the stretching of the handles. And my solution was, I'm going to take cording and I'm going to crochet my handles around the cording. And then the cording is going to create the stability to keep the handles from stretching. I'm not saying I'm the first person to ever think of this, but I am saying it was pretty genius, because actually the cording I used is cording. It's like upholstery cording, and so it's big, but it's also squishy. And so not only did it resolve the issue of the stretching, but it also resolved the issue of, like, I don't know about you, but I always pack too much in my bags. And so when they get heavy and then they kind of like dig into your shoulder because it's like just the stitching. So that cording also helped with that. But what if you don't have cording? Do I recommend using more yarn? Not really, if I'm being honest. Because I just said the reason for the benefits of the cording is twofold, right? It's the padding, which putting more yarn in the middle could help with the padding, absolutely. However, adding more yarn to the yarn is probably not going to avoid the stretching factor, right? Because more of the same just gives you the same. So, what could be some solutions to that? You could, to avoid the stretching, you could put something else firm in the center of it. You could maybe do some like interfacing. Not that if you don't have cords, you might have interfacing. I don't know about that. You could, I would say fabric would be a better idea than more yarn. So if you have something like a canvas or a denim or something that would really add that stability to the inside, you could make kind of a cord with that. That would then take some probably sewing skills, but that would be an option. You could do take a handle from another bag. So let's say you have an older purse, like store-bought purse, that you're like, I want this to match my bag, but it could be stability. That could be an option. But I do really recommend the cording, and I believe I have linked somewhere. I'm sure I have listed what I used. But yeah, it's just I got it at my local craft store in their upholstery section. Um, so be creative. If anybody else has thoughts on ways to add like stability to a crocheted handle, I'd love to know. I have seen several like crochet in this way and it won't stretch. I feel like maybe. I'm not saying it for sure would, but I'm also saying like yarn is stretchy, even cotton yarn, and cotton yarn stretches and doesn't bounce back. So, um, but I'd love to hear. Obviously, an easy solution is go buy some handles out of like leather or wood or canvas or something, and they won't stretch. But then you're purchasing something additional again. So there you go. Friends, am I going to take a nap? Probably not. But does my body want me to take a nap? 100%. I'm not recording this on Wednesday because I record so I can edit ish. Throw pictures up of things I forgot to bring with me. But I hope I've recovered a bit more by Wednesday. So thank you for joining me today. It's been lovely. And hey, let's meet back here next week. I hope you have an amazing week and happy crafting.